We got Jordan Shepard and Lars Thiemann with us. We'll open it up for questions for them. Just go ahead and if you've got a direct question for one of them, make sure they're aware of which one they're being asked.
Lars, this is Jeff speaking. Can you talk about kind of what your attitude has been since you were put into the starting lineup after Andre was injured? We just got done talking to Coach, and he was telling us that you've been the team's leading rebounder and the leading shot maker in practice pretty much all year. What did it take to get your confidence going so that you could translate that into the games?
Yeah, you know, Dre has been playing a lot of minutes, so I kind of had to fill in the spot. And like, yeah, Coach already told you, so I feel like I was kind of ready to fill in the spot and just play confident, have fun out there, play for my teammates. And yeah, it's been
when you were a freshman, I remember thinking you looked like a guy who knew what you were doing on the court, but sometimes the game seemed kind of fast for you, or you would get the ball in the post and you would hesitate. How much more comfortable are you playing now? It's an adjustment as a young big man, but also coming from European basketball to here. How much more comfortable are you now?
Yeah, no, it's a lot different than I used to play in Europe, a lot faster. So over the years, I feel like I've gotten more comfortable, gotten to know the game better, what I can do, what I can't do, and just play my role better, be more confident out there.
And Jordan, are you comfortable and confident getting him the ball in the paint these days?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you should see him in practice. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
You know, anytime we throw it in there, it's like an automatic bucket. You know, he sets great screens. You know, he's good at protecting the rim as well. So, you know, in practice, you know, all that stuff is translated over to the game now. You know, it's been big for us and, you know, helping us get this road sweep.
Thank you, guys.
Question from David Bush.
Have you guys had a chance to look at Colorado? I know that they probably watched them Tuesday night. And what's your impressions?
They're a really good team. You know, they've had some notable wins, you know, this season, but you know, they're also good at the three-point line. Like Coach said, I think they're number one three-point team in the conference right now in terms of percentage. They like to push the ball. Overall, they're a really good team. They got athleticism and size as well.
Lars, they got a couple of bigs there. What do you think of their front line?
You know, I've been playing against him for the last 2 years, so I know him pretty well. He's a good big man, very physical. But yeah, I think I'm ready.
Okay.
Further questions for Jordan and Lars?
Yeah, Jordan, Jeff again. Can you talk about how your hand has been feeling lately? Is it mostly better? And are you still wearing the brace or not? And can you also just talk about sort of what got into you in the Oregon game?
Well, interesting story about my hand. Is actually still hurt, but against Arizona, I injured my other thumb. So now I'm wearing a splint on the other thumb as well. And obviously I don't be wearing two on both hands. So now it's on my left hand. Right hand is getting a little bit better, but still in pain, but it's in better shape than my left. And in terms of the Oregon trip, you know, in this specific game against the Ducks, no, honestly, it was this guy right here. All the shots that I got, I don't get, you know, if he doesn't set the screens for me and get me open. I was also able to get to the line a lot, but it was all my teammates. They were looking for me. They're finding me. They're also, you know, giving me the confidence to actually go out there and, you know, try to help lead us to a win.
It seems like you've fit in real well from the start this season. Are you getting a second wind right now, especially as your shooting thumb starts to feel at least a little bit better?
I hope so. You know, we'll see tomorrow, see Saturday, you know, as we go forward. Right now, just trying to take it a game at a time. And, you know, we'll see how things pan out.
Hey, terrific. Thanks, guys.
All right, Jordan, Lars, thanks for your time.
Good morning, Mark. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing okay, thanks. How about you?
Yeah, very good. Nice weekend for you guys. Can you talk about how much better it seemed you played defensively in the two games last week than maybe the stretch of maybe 6 or 8 games before that didn't seem as good as you were this weekend?
I think you're correct in your assessment. We were more effective defensively. We rebounded the ball better last weekend than we had maybe the previous couple of weeks. And you know, some of that it has to do with attention to detail and our ability to execute a defensive scheme. Some of it has to do with you know, who you're playing, but you know, all the things considered. At the end of the day, we were a more effective defensive team last weekend, and that's so vital for this particular team's chances of success.
And how much do you think you're sort of settling in now, not having Andre and guys figuring out how they compensate for not having him and how you play the game maybe a little bit differently without him?
Well, I think we're relatively still in the infant stages of that. I mean, it's going to have to be game by game. We may have to change our lineup and our rotation a little bit game by game. Lars has done a tremendous job in stepping in. It's not the start of the games that's an issue. It's when someone gets in foul trouble or somebody gets fatigued, and we have to substitute, and then all of a sudden your team can get really small really fast, and your rotations, you get guys, you know, in different spots and what they know and can really execute changes. So I think we've got a ways to go there before we're completely comfortable. I do think last weekend that we managed it pretty well, but we miss Andre. I mean, there's no way around it. He was a very productive player for us, and we're going to have to game by game tweak things because he's not coming back.
If I can ask you a follow-up or two on Andre, have you had those conversations with him yet? It's been about 3 weeks, I think, since he was injured, in terms of whether he might decide to come back next season.
Well, we've had several conversations. I think that Andre, you know, I think he wants to find out what the professional people think his options are. I think that Andre and I have had a tremendous relationship. We sat for nearly an hour on the road and talked. And right now the focus is simply trying to get healthy. He's still swollen. He's still on crutches. Still a little bit emotional because this has been hard for him. But you know, as the days and weeks pass by, we'll continue to talk, and then he'll figure out what's the best thing for him. I wouldn't anticipate him making a decision relatively soon. I think we need to give him time and space to sort this thing out.
And then finally, for now, can you just talk about Jabari Walker from Colorado? He's got, I think, 4 consecutive double-doubles, 13 of them altogether. Seems like he's really blossomed into a nice player for them.
Well, I think when Andre was injured, I think he and Walker were like neck and neck in the number of double doubles, right? I mean, they both were racking them up at a pretty good rate, but Jabari's just continued to play terrific, and I think he's averaging a double double in league play. He's had an outstanding season, and I think he's able to rebound his own miss. He's able to shoot the three. He runs the floor. He can score in the paint. I mean, he's really a versatile scorer, an excellent rebounder, and really having an all-conference kind of year.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it over to a question for David Bush.
Yeah, Coach, could you talk a little bit more about the other Colorado players and just their style and what problems they present? Because they've won 3 in a row now.
Well, they've won 3 in a row. They're scoring it at a high rate. They're percentage-wise the #1 3-point shooting team in the conference. You know, I think that what they have is a young group who they've had some injuries too, and now their best players are just playing more. You know, because there's more minutes that they have to play. But you know, De Silva's playing really well for them in addition to Walker. I mean, those 2 guys as forwards have been just super. I think up front that you know, inside they have as physical of a player as we all do, and I think that his leadership has been terrific. And then you figure in that okay, they lost an outstanding point guard last year, but Bartholomew has been a great replacement, and so you know, they haven't missed a beat. And I think the value that Coach Boyle has in his team is that is that, you know, they understand winning, and they're young players. When they came in, were able to learn from great veterans, and so they just haven't missed a beat as guys have graduated. The young guys have just stepped into bigger roles and been super productive. But this is a team that you know, I think is playing terrific and probably playing the best that they've played all year.
And on your side, Jordan Shepard, has he emerged even more since Andre's been out? And you know, can just talk about his progress in the course of the year.
Well, I think that Jordan Shepard has been pretty consistent all year. I mean, it's hard to imagine that he played most of the season with a hard splint, you know, on his shooting hand, and was still able to be really, really productive. And I think slowly he's getting healthy. And obviously, without Andre, you know, we need him to be consistently productive. And I think he's been pretty consistent most of the year. And so, you know, it was great to see him have such a good game the other night. But I thought he closed the game really well, you know. But I think one of the best things about Jordan, which is not talked about, is that he helps the guys around him, you know, and he's a good passer. And I think that he came into the season and joined our program with the mentality that he was joining us, not that we were joining him. And so the guys have welcomed him with open arms, and he's just been tremendous.
Thanks.
We've got time for one more from Jeff Rod.
Mark, you referenced Lars Thiemann a minute ago. Big guys usually take some time, but it seems like he's starting to give you sort of consistent production. He's not off the charts or anything, but can you talk about what you're pleased with in terms of his progress and what he's been able to do for you?
Well, Lars has been a dominant player in practice this season. When Andre went down, I met with Lars and I asked him who the leading rebounder on our team was after 70 plus practices, and he wasn't sure. And I said, well, Lars, it's you. And I said, do you know who's made the most baskets? And he says, well, since you're asking me, I'm going to guess me. And I said, that's a good guess. And so he really had been dominant in practice. And I think any player, big players especially, you just have to get to the point where you're comfortable and confident in games, and you have to have enough experiences to get to that point in your career. And as an international player, sometimes it takes maybe a little bit longer because the game is so dribble heavy in America. So I think Lars has gotten to the point where he's comfortable on the floor in every situation. He's confident. He's played really well for us, and I anticipate that his play will only continue to improve, and we're excited about how he's responded.
And is there a particular message that you have for your team this week after, you know, snapping that long losing streak, getting 2 great wins on the road, and now you come back home, just to keep it going and to add on to it?
Well, it's one game at a time. You know, when we had a streak where we played, you know, 5 of 6 on the road, with the one home game being Arizona, that bled into 5 games in 10 days. And in that, we lost Joel Brown for the protocols for a week, and we lost Andre for the year. And so it was a hard stretch, but during that stretch, it was a next game mentality. And we'll have the same thing now as we approach, you know, these games this week, coming off of a good trip last weekend.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Thank you, guys.